everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So the mic is really near my double chin, so if you can't really hear me, just let me know. Thank you for joining me today. I'm very honored for this opportunity to share about AI in Asia. My name is Robyn. I'm from 36Kr Global. We are a cross-border media and consulting firm headquartered in China, and then we have teams in Japan and Singapore to serve Southeast Asia. Recently, we went to the Middle East as well as Berlin to serve Europe. So today, I have 30 minutes to share about AI in Asia. And honestly, I think that's not enough time because firstly, Asia has so many countries, and every country is different. The second is because AI is progressing so rapidly that I can't really seem to keep up with it as fast as I would like to. So today, what I hope we can get out of this presentation is that at the end of this 30 minutes, I hope we walk away with a clearer idea of how far we have come, where we are going, and at least some bearings as to how to make sense of the future with AI. And so how my team and I have structured this presentation is that we will go from macro to micro, and then we'll first start with some frameworks. We'll look into the different trends in Asia. We'll do a deep dive into China, and then end off with some case studies across Asia. I cite a lot of research in this presentation, so I have included a little QR code at the top of my slides. So if anybody's keen to read further, please feel free to scan. So let me start. I think recently all of us are hearing a lot about AI. So why is AI so intriguing? Why is everyone talking about AI? I think just simply that AI is aligned with a lot of economic goals that we are striving to achieve. So for example, innovation, productivity, growth. And that's why with AI, we now can automate complex tasks. We can go through data really quickly, just as what Pat Snap was saying just now. We can create new jobs. We can free up new headspace for humans to work on more higher value tasks. And also because I think AI is aligned with our modern economic strategies, such as how do we solve labor shortage? How do we face the issues of aging population or sustainable practices? And so a lot of governments and businesses have now looked at AI as a potential tool to help alleviate the risk of these issues. So in 2021, before ChatGPT was launched, Open Philanthropy, they published a report basically looking at what's the probability of AI causing an explosive growth before the year 2100. And it's an interesting paper, so if anyone wants to read it, please feel free to scan it. I hope it's big enough. And so basically, the report seeks to understand how far away are we from having transformative AI. So transformative AI is defined as a potential form of AI that can cause a transition that is the same or larger than what we experienced during the agricultural and industrial revolution. And this analyst, she suggests that AI could potentially cause economies to grow at 20 to 30% per year. And so this so for reference, right now our economies are growing about 2 to 3%. So that's about 10 times the growth that we are experiencing now. And she thinks that there is a 50% chance that we will see this in 2050, so that's in 26 years. Or potentially 80% chance by 2100. So are we there yet? Maybe not, right? It's a bit hard to believe in 26 years we will be able to experience 10 times growth that we are seeing right now. But for sure, we are on the way. So just a sense of where we are, some numbers. I hope I don't put you to sleep. These are some numbers from Statista. And so you can see that in 2024, the second bar here, we are now at about 180 billion USD in terms of the global AI market size. Just last year, we were just at 135 billion. And so that's about a 35% growth rate. Statista estimates that we will hit over $820 billion by 2030. So that's a CAGR of slightly less than 30% per year. If you search this up online, different companies have different estimates. I think BCG puts it at about 39%. I think it averages generally around 35%. So we just picked the conservative number. PwC, they estimate that the amount of impact caused by businesses using AI meaningfully to create value and impact to be at about $15 trillion, and of which 42% of this $15 trillion will come from increased productivity, and the remainder is going to come from consumption effects. So consumption effects meaning with AI, now the product is more interesting, I want to buy it, I want to use it. So this is PwC's estimates. So basically, right now what I'm going to do is I will give you an overview, many words, an overview of the various policies, focus, and goals from each of the Asian countries. And if you want to search it up, please feel free to search the keywords online. And basically what we have done is those in blue are the countries in ASEAN, in Southeast Asia, and then those in gray, which I'll go through later, are the countries in East Asia. So I will start first with the countries from ASEAN. So you can see that the focus areas that they are looking at are generally more fundamental, so like agriculture, manufacturing, public services. And the ambitions are more regional. So I want to become an AI leader in Southeast Asia by 2030. I think the challenges that ASEAN countries face are pretty similar. So for example, there is generally a lack of robust infrastructure to support use of AI across like big scale. There is also some resistance to adopting AI in traditional sectors. So we all know that ASEAN is generally a SME-driven region. So if most of the companies are resistant to adopting AI or cautious, then I think it's a relatively large hurdle to overcome. I think the other challenge that ASEAN is facing is also the access to talent. So we all know that in ASEAN, maybe talents are not as well trained yet. And so, what does it take to attract and retain AI companies will be one of the largest challenges that ASEAN countries will have to deal with. I think interestingly here, I want to point out what Singapore, what their goal is, which is to achieve ethical AI governance, a leadership in ethical AI governance in 2030. So in Singapore recently, there were some discussions between the government and public and private sector players about the use of user-generated content to train LLMs, large language models. So who owns the copyrights? Is it right? Can I say no? Are there any consequences to saying no? So I think this will be an ongoing conversation between governments and its people across the world as we try to figure out to what extent are we willing to give up our own privacy, our own data as individuals in exchange for more productivity or efficiency. Now we'll look at the East Asian countries, Japan, South Korea, and China. So you can see that the areas that these countries are looking at are more advanced. So there's like semiconductors, there's robotics, defense, and there's also significantly more greater ambition when it comes to global leadership. Similarly, I think the challenges that these countries are going to face would be relatively different. So as these countries are more advanced when it comes to AI, there will be discussions about the ethical use, about governance, policies, regulations, and in some countries, for example, there will be more geopolitical tensions that they have to navigate. So now I want to look a bit deeper into what China has been doing, just simply because China has been leading the world alongside the US in AI. And so I think there are some lessons or tips that we can refer to from what China has been doing over the past 10 years and see how we can apply it to our own countries. So in 2017, the State Council of China announced the ambition that they want to lead the world in AI. And basically, because of this announcement, the various ministries in China also followed suit to launch their own policies. I have a sample here of 3 policies that were launched in 2018, 19, and 2022. So the first one is the Ministry of Education. So since 2018, when this policy was announced, there has been more than 2,000 AI-related courses that have been incorporated into China's undergraduate curriculum. And so I think maybe there is a correlation as to why in the world, the top 20% researchers, 47, almost half of them are from China. If we look at what the Ministry of Science and Technology has done, they have basically established 18 pilot zones across China. And I think we are all familiar with robotaxis, and it's now currently being piloted in over 20 cities. It's also quite common for local governments to take the lead in investing in some of these innovations or in commercialization itself. And then let's look at some of the cities or provinces. You can see here the regional distribution of AI companies in China. Beijing takes the lead, so they have the most number of AI companies in the city. Could be because of the high density of research institutions and industrial clusters. They have also deployed hundreds of billion-scale large models in the city. So the likes of Baidu's ErnieBot, ByteDance's Volcano Engine Arc. These are some of the things that Beijing has been deploying. The second would be Guangdong. So in Guangdong province, there is Guangzhou and Shenzhen. I think we will be familiar with Huawei and Tencent. They are all headquartered they are all in Guangdong. And so I think there is a positive externality as to having giants in your region, because we see a lot of new innovative tech companies are being founded by ex-Huawei experts or like ex-Tencent technical experts. So a lot of these talents actually leave the giants and come up to start their own companies. And I think maybe there is a correlation to why Guangdong is second in terms of the regional distribution. I'm going to jump over Shanghai for now, but if we look at Zhejiang, in Zhejiang, Hangzhou City has been designated as a pilot zone 2. Hangzhou City is where Alibaba is headquartered, so maybe no surprise why there are also quite a number of AI companies here. In Shanghai, however, Shanghai is a bit different. It has a very vibrant AI industry because of its trade clusters and more like government initiatives. So we'll look at some numbers again. So in China, basically, let me get my USD. So in China, in 2024, this is a report in 2024. Last year, we got over, 79 billion USD. So this is the trend since 2018 is a 13.9% growth. In March this year, there are more than 4,500 AI enterprises, and this is 1/7, about 14% of the global number of AI companies. So these are numbers from IT Juzi, which is like the Statista or Crunchbase of China. The bars represent the number of investments. The line represents the value of the investments. So you can see from 2014 to 2021, there is a rise, there's a surge in investments in AI companies in China. So 2021 was when it peaked at over 1,100 number of investments in that year. And the total value is more than $61 billion. So the numbers here are in RMB. So $61 billion. However, after 2021, there is a drop in AI financing, which we thought was quite interesting, given that ChatGPT was launched in 2022. So everyone was hyped about ChatGPT, and we were thinking maybe there's going to be a surge in financing, but the investors, I think, exercised a lot of caution, because over the past 10 years, we have seen that for an AI company to grow to where it is today, there is a lot of technical hurdles. You need different types of talents. There's a lot of R&D. Just for reference, ChatGPT took about $17 billion of funding to get to where it is today. So, and not forgetting that ChatGPT is a niche in the entire AI industry because it's just an LLM, right? So it's a very small niche. So given, I think combining it with the economic landscape in China, I think we can wait and see how 2024 will perform in the years to come. The other aspect to look at also is the amount of resources that China has put into research into AI. So this is a paper by Georgetown University, and you can see that the top producers of AI and the number of citations, they are topped by the Chinese companies. The Chinese research institutions top the list. So for some numbers, if we look at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, the amount of AI research that they produced over 5 years between 2017 to 2022 was about 16,000 research papers. Carnegie Mellon, which is the top university in this list from the USA, they published 7,600, and Google was 7,200. So one of the little notes from this paper from Georgetown is that it only captures English publications. So there are Chinese publications that are not being captured here. So we can just guess how much more have we not captured. I think there's also no surprise that China actually now holds 61% of the world's patents in AI. So this number, when I sent over my slides, this number was accurate. And then Stanford University, where this chart was from, published a new version of the AI index last week. And so this QR code brings you to the older version, but you can easily search up the newer version by Stanford anytime you want. So let's look at something more fun. How is AI being used in China right now? I think we are, like I said, autonomous cars are something that we are familiar with and are willing to try. Baidu's Apollo Go would most probably be the most well-known. So Baidu has its robotaxis in 11 cities in China today. They have completed over 300,000 kilometers of driverless operation. And I think what's interesting about how Baidu has created Apollo Go is that it's an open source ecosystem. So developers, companies, they can join this ecosystem and contribute and collaborate on this autonomous driving technology. On the right here, you see WeRide. It's one of the competitors of Apollo Go alongside the likes of Pony AI. So WeRide also does L4 autonomous driving. So basically, it's able to run without human intervention in certain geofenced cities. And WeRide also has been operating their business in many cities in China. They have some investors whose names we are familiar with, the likes of Bosch, NVIDIA, as well as China's automaker GAC Group. They work with Mitsubishi, Nissan, and so their solutions like the robotaxis, robosweepers, robovans, robotrucks are all accessible in China. The other one is using humanoids in factories. So this is a company called Figure AI. It is currently making some cars in BMW's production line. So we can see the black robots from Figure AI. In agriculture, it's also being used to help to maximize crop yields. The QR code brings you to a link that my team wrote an article about. In it, basically we talk about how farmers in China are using AI in pig farming. So companies that use this technology, the farms that use this technology actually see lower mortality rates in their pigs and having more piglets per sow. This is Lenovo's solution in quality control underground in the mining industry. So we all know that in the mines, when it's underground, it's dark, it's harsh, and without technology, people used to go through the segments of equipment one by one to see if there are potential defects, if there are repairs. And so Lenovo uses low-light image sensing to detect or predict potential defects that would happen. And then they will send a staff to go down just to solve that defect. And so this reduces the amount of time that humans have to spend in a very harsh condition. This is Kimi. Kimi, I think, would be like the ChatGPT of China. So Kimi was started in March 2023 by a team that has worked on major AI models. It can now understand over 2 million Chinese characters in one go. But I think what's interesting about Kimi, if you use ChatGPT on a daily basis and if you try Kimi, Kimi has a very nice way of understanding what you're trying to say, and it's also a bit more friendly than ChatGPT. So this is Kimi by Moonshot AI. This is, I'm going to jump out of China and go to the rest of the world, rest of Asia. So this is a chatbot in Singapore called Pair. This is launched by Singapore government for the public officers to use. So basically through this chatbot, public servants can key in their requests, and the chatbot spits out a good answer for you to respond to the inquiry. So for example, the public servants now don't have to go through tons of policies or regulations to come up with the right response. Right now, the chatbot can actually consolidate all of those and give them their answer. In drug discovery, this is in silico medicine, they use Gen AI to simulate how compounds react with each other. So this can actually speed up the identification of novel treatments and hopefully predict potential clinical outcomes. So this reduces the amount of time spent in pharmaceutical R&D. In Vietnam, Gene Solutions uses AI to do genetic profiling to predict cancer. There's also a similar company in Singapore called Merxus that uses AI to also predict cancer and tailor interventions for the patients. Aerodyne is originally a drone unicorn from Malaysia, and basically through combining what the drones are seeing, soil sensors and data, they are able to help farmers improve their crop yield. Profile Print from Singapore, they look at the digital footprints of your ingredients to tell you whether the quality of your food, right? So you just insert your ingredient into that machine, and then it will spit out some information about how good your food is. This is a car design done by Sony Honda Mobility. This car is called Sustainer C. Basically, it's a Gen AI designed for an electric car. Nice and cute. I think AI has been used in many different ways. Recently, CNA, they did a documentary as to how AI could potentially help people cope with losing their loved ones. So the QR code here brings you to a YouTube link if you want to watch it. And in this screen capture, basically, the female singer lost her father. And an AI company basically made a hologram after collecting data about how the father sounds, how the father plays guitar, and created a hologram for the daughter to perform with the late father. So this is also an interesting application of AI. So where do we go from here? I think the content so far has been very exciting. Everything's new, it's cool, but I think alongside development and progress, there's always a darker side. And it is, and I think it would have been nice for me to end here on a nice note, but I think we should also face the other side of AI progress. Many research institutions have actually sounded the alarm when it comes to the pressing dangers of AI. And in a study by Stanford, basically, they say that one of the most pressing dangers of AI is techno-solutionism, basically believing that AI is the solution to our problems when actually it's just a tool. And I think in a lot of what we are seeing right now in human history is that alongside technology, there's a lot of bigger problems, right, that arise while having solved smaller problems. And so from now to the future, I think we all have to be cautious about, what kind of dangers we're gonna face. How do we educate the future generation to protect ourselves and to prevent abuse of technology? There are 4 particular challenges that I want to talk about before I end my presentation. The first one is algorithmic bias. So we all know that AI uses large amount of information, large amount of data, right? But what if you are underrepresented in that data, right? So what we are doing now then is we are bringing discrimination into AI. So you are systematically going to be discriminated by the AI just because your data makes up a minority in the whole data pool, right? So what this happens, how this might impact us, workplace discrimination, you might also not get equitable outcomes when it comes to, let's say, healthcare. So many developers, especially from minority represented groups, are actually fighting against this cause. So this is going to be a long fight, but for all the technology experts and technology companies, excuse me, I hope that we are more, I hope we will be more cognizant of the potential discrimination that we might face, that we might be working into our AI models. The other one is privacy, but I'm not going to talk too much into it because we all, always wonder about how our data is being collected, managed, stored, used. I want to talk a bit more about disinformation because I think, maybe because of the recent elections, we all know that when we use our TikTok, we use our Instagram and Facebook, we are put into an echo chamber because the algorithm tells you what you will respond best to, not what you should know, right? And what this happens is that it polarizes people and it distorts your perception of reality, right? I think there's another form of manipulation of reality that is more grave. There was an article recently about the use of deepfakes, the abuse of deepfakes. So young girls in Korea went on a school trip, and their photos were being fed into a deepfake generative AI software by one of their mischievous classmates. And basically what the software created was porn of the girl in the deed, right? So the perpetrator had no consequences, right? But the victims have a lifetime of trauma to deal with. And so this brings me to my last point, which is accountability. Whose fault is it, right? In our AI systems right now, we don't have any form of accountability, right? Do we blame the company that created the AI? Do we blame the company that collected the data? Do we blame the person who fed the photos into the AI? So basically, people are pushing for more accountability where we can hold liable people who use it for bad outcomes. So this is the end of my presentation. I hope it's not too heavy. I think we all need to go into the future with both eyes open because we don't know what kind of challenges AI will bring us, right? We see all the great stuff, but we need to also be prepared for the darker side to protect ourselves and to educate our future generations. So thank you very much for your time. If you want to connect with me, that's my LinkedIn and that's my email. Happy to connect. Thank you for your time.